Colleen Fry. I'm the managing editor with Channel Pro. I'm here today with Robin Robbins, who's the CEO of Technology Marketing Toolkit. And we are behind the scenes of her annual IT Sales and Marketing Bootcamp. So welcome, Robin.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. So you're at the home stretch now.
Home stretch, yes.
It's been a week-long event. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering...
It's been a year-long event.
Yeah, I'm sure.
For us.
And so I'm wondering, with the questions from the audience and conversations you've heard in the hallway, what are MSPs concerned about right now?
Well, I think MSPs are concerned about the things they're always concerned about, which is how do I grow this company? How do I generate more revenue? How do I get more customers? How do I get more leads? Because I think for most of the people out there, the technology comes easy. You know, they love it. They have a passion for it. They understand it, and they enjoy helping their customers with the technology. So I don't think that that's ever really the challenge for them. I'm not suggesting it's easy, because it's not. I think our community is amazing. I mean, the things that they have to do for their clients, what they have to learn, the amount of detail that goes into running that company, but somehow they're very smart, so they figure that out and they're passionate about it. And where they struggle, though, is just how do we get more customers? They are growing organically, so they get referrals, but referrals are never enough for a company to truly grow. I mean, they might sustain them and just kind of keep the doors open, but the people who come to our event, they want to do something more than just exist. They want to have a business of significance, of excellence, of growth, of stability. I think they're starting to think, some of them have been in business for 10 years, 20 years or more, and they're starting to think about retirement. And, in order to retire, they need to put teams in place. And part of that is a leadership team, but it's also a sales and marketing part of that. So I think the thing that they worry about, and it could be skewed, obviously, because my conference is about sales and marketing, but they're worrying about how do I generate more revenue, not just more customers, but the right type of customers. How do I price my services appropriately? So I'm, putting dollars to the bottom line. How do I take care of my employees? I mean, we hear that often, I want to reward them. So those are the things that I think they're concerned about most.
Okay, great. And so yesterday you spent some time talking about numbers and math.
Marketing math.
Yeah, and so do you find that MSPs in general, do they know their numbers, and how important are those KPIs for sales and marketing?
Well, for the most part, no, they don't, because they're not doing any marketing, so there's really nothing to measure. Someone jokes with me, how many, I don't need to know my funnel, it's zero. It's nothing to count. But yeah, business is about numbers. It's how you track. It's the, when you talk to someone, you say, how's it going? And they say, oh, it's going really well, or it's going poor. I mean, it's very subjective. Numbers are objective. They're just, are you growing or are you not? Are you making money or you're not? Are you generating the leads that are turning into the customers that are putting to the bottom line? And so if you're not looking at the numbers in your business, it would be like if from this event, a bunch of people get on an airplane and the pilot comes over after they've taken off and says, I think we're about 3,000 feet up. I think we're headed north. I don't really know how much gas we have. We seem to be traveling pretty fast, but I can't tell you anything specific because all my gauges and things are broke. But don't worry, we're making great time. We're at least in the air and we're flying. I think everybody would panic. But that's exactly how they run their business. They're on an airplane going somewhere. They don't know really where they're going. They don't know how fast they're going, how much gas they have. They don't understand any of that. So I think, how important it is, it's critical. I mean, there's no law saying you have to, but I think it's a very scary ride if you're running your business without knowing your numbers.
Mm-hmm. Great. And someone yesterday came up to the mic and admitted that they were a skeptic when they first joined your
lots of them. Lots. I love skeptics.
Yep.
They're great.
And so how do you take someone like that and get them their aha moment? And how do you know that they're getting it?
Well, first of all, let me say I appreciate skeptics, because people look at skeptics and they think that they're bad people. And I'm not talking about a pessimist. There's a difference between a pessimist and a skeptic. I think a skeptic is a very intelligent person who looks at anything, my stuff, anything, and says, I see the good, but I'm not buying it until I see what it can do. Like they have to experience it, they have to understand it, right? So I appreciate skeptics, right? Because I think that's anybody who doesn't like skeptics, they're not very confident in themselves. And then what has to happen is they've got to see something work for them. And so we have the difficult job of we've got to give them something that they can implement first time. You know, you're talking about somebody who's never done marketing, has no list, has no concept about marketing and selling, has no idea what to do in front of a new customer if they get one. And I'm supposed to give them one campaign that the first one they fire off is going to work. Because if it doesn't work, that skeptic goes, "Oh, I told you this is a big scam." But they get it, they start using it. And what I hear from people is, you know, I was skeptical, I was uncertain, I was definitely outside my comfort zone, but I just decided just to stick with it. Let me go with the plan. Like in the case that you were mentioning, which is Tom Brewer, there was a 90-day, like a 2-day workshop with me and then 90 days implementation. And he said, I was a skeptic, but I said, I'm just going to do this for 90 days and just take the brakes off and let's see. And it was phenomenal. I mean, he went from generating, I think, somewhere around 4 appointments a year to 40 last year. And I don't remember the exact number, so I don't want to quote and get it wrong, but phenomenal results. And I think that, you know, if they're skeptical, I think a lot of people who are running a business, if you've never done marketing and you don't understand it, of course it's scary, right? Because you don't know what's going on. But you got to get started somewhere. And if it's not me, then find somebody who can help you with marketing. It's the one thing I tell people, you got to get educated about what good marketing is. Because if you just go to vendors and you go to a Facebook person and you say, well, you know, here's my problem, new clients, what do? I mean, the first thing they're going to say is do Facebook, or you go to your LinkedIn guru, that's what they're going to say, or whatever. So I think you have to understand the fundamentals of business, and you've got to understand the fundamentals of marketing, which is what we focus on, teaching people. And once you understand that, then your business can take off.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And yesterday also you had your guest speaker here, Peyton Manning, football grade. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that he said was, you know, hard work and preparation can separate good from great.
Absolutely.
Do you find that to be the same in sales and marketing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I tell my Producers Club members, some of them have been with me for 15 years, and they come back every quarter. And I said, you know, the best thing we could do for these 2 days that we're together is we just go over fundamentals. That would be the best thing, because you don't have it mastered. Even if you're doing really well, there's some nuance, there's some tightening of a screw, right? But if I did that, the room would be emptier and emptier and emptier. So I have to sort of play the, you know, we always go over fundamentals, but I always have to have something new and exciting. So we kind of scratch that itch. But yes, most people do not master fundamentals. They never stick with anything long enough to get it to work. So they try Facebook for a while, and then they doesn't work, or it works or whatever, maybe a little bit. Then they try LinkedIn. Then they try Google pay-per-click. Then they try hiring a salesperson. And what they do is they just hop around, wasting time spinning the wheels, because they're never really doing anything that's truly successful.
So they have to keep at it, work hard.
Fundamentals, but people get bored with the fundamentals. I mean, I know Peyton was saying, he mentioned it on stage, and I know just from talking to him in the green room, I mean, he watched the plays. He was talking about how technology has changed football. He said, you know, as soon as that player comes off the field, he's like, they can watch that replay in real time, high definition. They know exactly how fast people were running, where they were. He's like, you know, minute by minute, they're analyzing fundamentals, how you're throwing a ball. You know, I mean, when you get down to it, football, it's not very complicated as a game. You got to get that ball down to the other end of the field, right? If you want to, business isn't that complicated. If you get the fundamentals right, then everything gets easier, but most people get bored with the fundamentals.
Right. So now I want to change gears a little bit, Robin. And at Channel Pro, we like to highlight good things and good works that are going on in the channel. Mm-hmm. And you and your organization have raised a ton of money for St. Jude Hospital for Children. So I wonder if you could tell me, like, how that came about, and you know, what your goal is with that.
Well, our goal is to raise $1 million for St. Jude. And you know, I got inspired I wanted to do something more than just have an event, right? So I got inspired by St. Jude, by actually a pretty horrific incident. If you remember Sandy Hook, the incident that happened where all those children had lost their lives. And I don't know what it was about that story. Maybe it's because I had just had Jamie, my first. She was only 2 years old. And, I was obsessed with it. I went into a real depression over it and thinking, hearing the story of how these parents could be sitting there and they were waiting in a firehouse they were bringing the kids, and every parent just looking at that door thinking, is my kid going to be the next one to walk through? And as each one walks through, and it's getting later and later in the day, I can't imagine a horror worse. And for some reason, I just, it really struck me. And then we were at the mall. It was around Christmas time, if you remember. My 2-year-old, we were walking past, I think it was Kay Jewelers or something. You know how they have the St. Jude teddy bears they sell?
Right.
Well, Jamie sees this teddy bear. She goes running in there. She grabs the bear and hugs it. She just, oh, Mommy, give me this bear. And so, of course, I said, I will. And it was a St. Jude's bear. And it was just like an angel came and sat on my shoulder and said, you need to raise money for St. Jude to get over your, to kind of do some good in any way we can, because these children were lost. Maybe we could save the lives of some that have some hope. And so right there on that spot with her hugging that teddy bear, it was like crystal clear to me. I said, I'm going to raise $1 million for St. Jude. And I went back and I told my team, I said, we're going to do it through giving back of a percentage of profits that we make every year and using our events to do that. And we are over the $500,000 mark.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's very cool. And then we use the events. So we do things like when we have Peyton, auctioning off footballs or photos with him or whatever we can. But this community, I'll tell you, is a very generous community, not just in giving back to St. Jude, but in just sharing with each other and helping other members when they go through really, really hard times. I mean, I know members who have gone through family crisis, have gone through some, just horrible things, like John Matazzi losing his building to a F5 tornado he was standing on matchsticks. That was his building. Lost all of his clients almost overnight. And people drove in from this community. They didn't call, we couldn't even call them because the cell towers were down. People just drove in with supplies and their texts and said, put us to work, not being asked. I mean, this community that I have the privilege to be a part of is incredibly generous and giving and kind. And that's the spirit of the community that we've built with Producers Club, our Accelerators Club. But that's not me. That's just the community. I happen just to be the one organizing it. That's all.
Well, that's wonderful work, and I'm sure St. Jude is thrilled.
They are.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Robin, for speaking with me
Thank
today.
you.
I know you've had a very busy week.
Oh,
I wish you luck, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you.